Once upon a time, beyond the silver hills where moonlight slept on petals, there lived a tiny fairy named Lunara. She had wings like morning dew, soft, shimmering, and painted with the colours of dawn. Lunara lived in a wildflower meadow at the edge of the whispering forest, where every leaf had a secret and every breeze carried a song. One quiet evening, as the stars were learning how to shine, Lunara heard a gentle meow drifting through the tall grass. Curious and kind-hearted, she followed the sound until she found a small, snow-white cat with eyes as blue as the night sky. The cat sat alone beneath an old oak tree, its tail curled neatly around its paws. "Hello, little one," Lunara whispered, floating closer. The cat looked up, and instead of fear there was warmth in its gaze, as if it had been waiting for her all along. The cat's name was Nimbus, and though he could not speak, his eyes told stories. He had wandered far from his home, guided by dreams he did not understand. From that night onward, Lunara and Nimbus became inseparable. She would rest on his head while he explored the forest, and he would purr softly as she told him stories of starlight and magic. As days passed, Lunara discovered something extraordinary. Nimbus could see magic others could not. He watched invisible sprites dance in the air and stared at places where hidden doorways to fairy realms shimmered. The forest itself seemed to bend gently around him, as if recognizing an old soul. One night, darkness crept into the whispering forest. A sorrowful shadow, born from forgotten wishes, began draining colour from flowers and stealing songs from birds. The fairy folk grew afraid, for their magic weakened with each passing hour. Lunara knew what she had to do. With Nimbus by her side, she followed the shadow to the heart of the forest. The air was heavy, and even the moon trembled. When the shadow rose before them, vast and cold, Lunara's light flickered. But Nimbus stepped forward, his blue eyes glowing brighter than the stars. He let out a single gentle purr, soft, steady, full of love. The shadow paused, for in that sound was comfort, warmth, and the promise that nothing was truly alone. Slowly the darkness melted away, turning into tiny sparks that floated back into the world as hope. At dawn, the forest bloomed brighter than ever before. The fairy folk celebrated, and Lunara was praised as a hero. But she smiled and looked at Nimbus, knowing the truth. From that day on, Nimbus was no longer just a cat. He became the guardian of the whispering forest, and Lunara became his fairy of light. Together, they watched over the meadow, she with her glowing wings, and he with his silent wisdom. And if you ever walk through a forest where flowers glow softly at night and a cat watches you from the shadows with kind, knowing eyes, remember this. You may have just stepped into Lunara and Nimbus's fairy tale, where magic purrs and love has wings.